Hello and welcome to the Rugby Chat podcast. Hi, I'm Paul. Actually, not podcast, show, because you know what? No one listens to the podcast, but everyone watches the show. So thank you for watching the show and seeing us in our wonderful beautifulness. Well, hey, some people are wonderful and beautiful. I mean, look at Shane in his red jumper. Anyway, yes, thank you for that. Obviously, this is DrivingMaul, your best place for rugby predictions and opinion. And I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul. And don't forget, 5-star reviews, subscriptions. Subscriptions. That's right. Yeah, subscribe. And all of that kind of stuff. That's what we'd love to see. And joining us this evening, we have Shane, as I said, in his red jumper. How you doing, sir?
Oh, fantastic after the big win against the Lions, Paul.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That was a very good first half performance from them.
The fizzy drinks were well and truly popping.
Absolutely. And Jess had a weekend off to go party because there was no Chiefs games. How are you doing, Jess?
It's a welcome break. Hi, I'm good.
And the man manning the phones tonight is going to go a bit different. Us three are going to chat, and Archwin is going to look after you on the live chat, typing away all your messages, and he'll be bringing the best ones up to us. So don't forget to hit the old super chat. And any questions that are on Super Chat, he will bring to us for us to answer. So, hey, Archwin, how are you doing?
Oh, yeah, I'm getting better.
You guys need like a support group.
I need a support group. Exactly. I posted on Twitter as just like I need a hug and therapy, but I haven't got my hug and I haven't got any therapy.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, your little boy and girl will be giving you hugs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh dear. And we do have a crisis though at the moment, I'm afraid, and it's not just about the Blues. It's also that I haven't got a beer and I haven't had a beer all evening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run downstairs and get a beer, and while I do that, Arthur's going to take you through the first question, which is: Jaguar has climbed into the finals positions. Can they hold on to it?
Yeah, who wants to start on that one while Paul runs off to get a beer?
No, they can't, because they're going to play the Chiefs this weekend and they're going to lose. So
you heard it here from Jess.
Yeah, I've actually seen Friday's result already. No, I think they're doing well, and I'm proud of them, but we'll see.
I think it's going to be very touch and go, and I think that the Chiefs are going to win on Friday night, and I think they're going to win quite comfortably, actually. But I think that given that they've finished their games, will finish their games against the New Zealand sides after the Chiefs games, they've virtually got internal conference games left. So I think they're a good chance of winning some of those conference games.
Yeah, look, just from it's like when you analyze the table itself, you can there's you got to take the top performance from each conference, and then it's the next on the points table, and the next on the points table are the Hurricanes, the Highlanders, and the Chiefs. So the Jaguares obviously doing well within their conference. I think they got a good shot at doing well within their conference, but as to whether they can accumulate enough points to make it up the conference, the consolidated conference table, not too sure about that, because as I said, the Hurricanes, Highlanders, and Chiefs have actually got quite good points already.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a factor, because I expect 4 New Zealand sides are going to make it into the finals. Sorry, Blues fans. But I only can see one Australian side making it, to be honest. So there could be 3 South African sides. We'll see how it goes.
You know, the ridiculous nature of this competition and the points ladders, the conference system, etc. And in no way am I actually dreaming that the Blues can make it to the top 8 or top 6 or yeah, stop, Paul. But there's 7 points outside the bottom place in the top 8, sort of thing. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, not, as I said, not that I would, I'm just hoping that they don't balls it up this weekend.
They'll be right, mate.
But no, if we look at this, the it's quite interesting in the standings because we've got the Jaguares on 20 points, you say. Now they're 12
Jaguares.
Jaguares.
Jaguares. There's no excuse. Mark Stafford told us how to pronounce it.
He did. That's very true. Are on 20 points. That wonderful team from Argentina. And they're 12 points behind the Hurricanes in fourth, even though the Hurricanes have played 2 less games. But they're only, as you say, 7 points ahead of the Blues in 14th. So that bottom crowd of 8th down to 14th only split by 7 points. And actually, the Rebels also in 7th are only 1 point ahead. So you got basically 7th down to 14th is only an 8-point gap. But the 7th to 4th, only 3 play, or even 7th to 6th is 5 points. And then another 2 points to Highlanders. There's a big gap sort of between that 4, 5, especially 4th and 7th, as opposed to 7th down to 14th. So it's interesting that I think there's a lot of change available between that sort of between 7th and probably down to about the Reds in 12th. I think the Brumbies and the Blues are probably out of it now, though.
We're happy with 12th.
Just a comment from Christian in the old chat saying that the Jaguares could make it a late run for the finals. I mean, absolutely. I mean, obviously, as New Zealand teams play off against each other, that will impact their points position. And if the Jaguares get back home within their own conference and carry on winning, then there is absolutely a chance that they could make it in to the finals.
Yeah, there's some surprises in the New Zealand conference with all that, because I've looked at the rest of the schedule and Hurricanes, Highlanders, Chiefs, Crusaders, they will play each other a few times between now and the end of, well, when it becomes quarters, final, semi-final time. So if there's some upsets, that could
shift the balance.
Yeah, there you go.
But also we saw, in the first, we didn't see a sort of Australia-New Zealand derby until like round 8 or something, did we? So they've already played a lot against each other. So I don't think and they've got the position. So I don't think we're going to see those. I say the top 6, I think, are probably pretty much set. Obviously, the Waratahs could be overtaken and replaced by the Rebels. But basically, you're going to have those 5 teams plus 1 Australian. And then a couple of others will sneak in and around it. So, yeah, so the Crusaders, Canes, Landers, Chiefs, and Lions are basically shoo-ins already for the finals. And it's a question of we'll have a Australian team for certain, because one of them's got to top that group.
One deserves to be in there.
And then it's a matter of who is going to come 7th and 8th.
You know what's interesting with the way that the table is at the moment? It look like, as it stands, it would end up being like the Hurricanes, Crusaders playing each other because they're right next to each other, and that would knock out. Because in my opinion, I think it's either going to be the Hurricanes or the Crusaders that take it out this year, and it's just interesting that they might have to play each other well before the final.
The quarterfinal could be the final.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? And I'm quite stoked with the Chiefs place like quite low down on the table, because it means that we play the Australian team. So I'm stoked. We can lose. We can lose a few games. I don't mind.
Here's an interesting question from Chris Edwards-Bailey. If the Jaguares make the playoffs, is it officially a success? It's followed up with Floyd and Pink asking, saying that the beating the Blues was good enough for him. So, yeah, what makes the season a success for the Jaguares?
Oh, it's been a success already. Getting that first win over a Kiwi side.
Away from home too.
Away from home. First win against New Zealand side. First win in New Zealand. First win in Australia, maybe?
No, they won their last 2 games last year, which were both in
Australia. Okay. So 3 games on the trot on tour. That's it's been a successful season. Their home form has been up and down, to say the very least. So that's not been successful, but overall the season has been successful for them already. Whatever happens from here.
And you can almost say the same about teams like the Bulls as well.
The Bulls, who obviously a transition season under John Mitchell, not much expected from them this season, and they're up there on the same points as the Jaguares, but with 1 less game. So chances are they'll pick up at least a losing bonus point to climb above them. The Stormers, again, another team that I thought were going to struggle this season because their halfback pairing was so young, but they've both come through and are performing well. So I think they've had a successful season already as well. I don't know what other people think about that one. No?
Definitely silence.
Definitely silence. So no one else thinks anything about the Stormers. So clearly we need some Stormers fans.
I'd probably say it's mixed.
Yeah, okay. So Stormers fans in the chat, is it already a successful season for you guys, or do they have to, or do you want to see something else out of them to say this is a successful season?
I'll try and answer it.
Go on then.
I think it's been mixed for the Stormers. I think they'd probably have wanted at least a win out of their New Zealand tour when they went over there. I think that they probably would have wanted to take the winner in Sydney first up when they take the Tars on, but they've obviously got a couple of wins lately, and but they'll rue a few losses that they've had. So it's going to be interesting. The Lions, Stormers, Jaguares, that sort of run on the South African table remains to be seen.
I think you got to throw in the Bulls there as well. They're all thereabouts.
Absolutely.
The Sharks, on the other hand, I would say this has been a disappointing season for them. I mean, they're on the same points as the Stormers, only 2 points behind. And there's only 2 points separate the Jaguares, Bulls, Stormers, and Sharks. I mean, the 20 points for 2 of the teams and 18 points for other teams. It's really close there. But I'd say the Sharks had a disappointing season already.
Careful, Paul, you'll upset Brent there.
Well, more on that, I think. Is Brent a Sharks fan? I thought, Brent, tell us in the chat who's your team. But for me, they had a team that we thought should be challenging the Lions, and to be 13 points behind them at this stage of the season, even if they have got a game in hand, is not acceptable for them. They should have been challenging the Lions. There you go. Brent's a Lions fan, so he's happy. Well, relatively speaking, I mean, he's at the top of the table, but he did lose to the Reds at the weekend. Yeah, no, I know.
Thank goodness for that.
Oh, dear me.
That's the start of something.
So what are we saying then? Do we think they're going to make the playoffs or not? I'm going to say no. Brent, yes or no? Brent? No, Brent on the chat. Shane, sorry. Oh, what am I on? I'm just losing it already.
I'm going to have a boulder here. They obviously won't win against the Chiefs, I don't think, on Friday night. But I'm going to say yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Jess, yes or no?
No, but I'm okay if they're there. That'd be nice for them, wouldn't it?
And it'd be nice for anyone to get there, obviously. Ashwin, yes or no?
Yes.
No.
Well, don't sound too confident.
Well, it's hard to be confident because it's just like it's really going to rely on the fact that New Zealand teams, the top 4 New Zealand teams, are going to drop points.
No, the top 4 New Zealand teams are going to get in there anyway. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So they don't it's not about them dropping points. It's about how will the Jaguares get in above the Bulls, Stormers, and Sharks, basically.
I need to look at the table right now.
There's a link for it in the notes.
Do some.
Oh, it's helpful.
I've been looking at the table all the time and figuring it out. Do you know what I actually did as I went through the Crusaders, Hurricanes, Highlanders, and Chiefs remaining games and figured out who would win, and then figured out what the overall points would be at the end.
Wow.
Yeah. Hurricanes are going to blow everyone away. They're probably going to get ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to put it on Jess now. Jess is going to write us an article on the website. So check out DrivingMaul.com, and she is going to do an end of season table prediction. And she'll do it over the next couple of days. So by the weekend, we'll have an article on DrivingMaul.com.
I wish you could see my schedule right here of all the uni work I have going on.
You've already done all the work. Just give me the table. It'll be fine. So there we go. That's we'll have that done. We'll have a prediction of end of season table on the website by the end of the week. Whether Jess does it or I have to do it because hey, I've said it'll happen. Cool. So moving on then from that, what was your moment of the rugby weekend? Jess, kick us off.
The Hawadas winning. That was really cool for them. I was happy for them. But I was also sad for the Blues at the same time. It was really confusing. But just seeing their fans in the crowd, I mean, in that weather, that must have been really, really amazing for them.
Talking about the weather, when I was on the beer run, did you pick up on my, did we ask, does Auckland need a covered stadium? Did you talk about that or not?
Nope.
No, we did not.
We didn't. Oh, dear.
No, we did not. But of course, if everybody else is going to get a covered stadium, then I don't see why Auckland doesn't get a covered stadium. The government can pay for that too. hey, if the government's going into lolly scramble mode, mate, bring it on.
Lolly scramble mode. Okay. So for all our international listeners, we're going Kiwiana tonight. On that note, actually, I'll talk about Auckland stadiums. It looks like there's been a proposal put for what to do with the Dockland area in central Auckland, and it includes having a brand new stadium next door to the Vector Arena. So hey, we could have one. We could have a covered stadium in the next. Well, they said it would take decades, so maybe in the next 50 years.
So I'll be at the games, but you guys will be dead.
Oh,
real! Maybe the Blues will start to win by then, and I'll let you know. I'll scream it up or down. I don't know where you're going to go.
Well, it'll be up because it'll be a sunken stadium underwater level, apparently.
Oh, that would be so cool. Imagine an undersea stadium. Wow.
I think she was going all flowers and telling us we were going to go to hell, I think.
Oh, yeah.
By an octopus's garden.
Oh, I mean, Shane's a young man. He looks it vaguely. I mean, I'm an old man, I know, but an Austrian's even older than me. So maybe it's an ancient. But yeah.
30th September, Paul.
There we go, baby. Another baby. Jeez. Nearly half your age, Ashwin.
Yeah. I've got my Super Gold card. Don't you worry about that.
Free bus pass. So anyway, so yeah, that was Shane. What was your broken out of the weekend?
Well, I think mine's pretty obvious. I'm wearing the jumper. It was the Reds, and it was just a special moment because the Lions were minor premiers and they've been back-to-back finalists. To see someone like Brad Thorne coach these young lads and get a big win over the Lions was something really special. It's a Queenslander pride that we've got here. It's just like watching the other code in State of Origin. That's how well the Reds played for once.
So was Brad Thorne, sorry, I'm going to show my total ignorance around rugby league. So Brad Thorne was a Maroon, was he?
Yes, he was.
Ah, in State of Origin. Okay.
That's where the Queenslander pride comes into that Reds jumper. And the solo was really good afterwards, let me tell you. Good night.
For those of you who don't get the reference, that's solo Evian Water, which is Shane's tipple of choice. So my actual moment of the weekend was, I'm going to go a bit left field, and I know we're supposed to talk about Super Rugby, and but I'm going to go to MLR, the Major League Rugby, and we had a lovely moment during that game with Glendale Raptors against Seattle Seawolves in Seattle, and the Glendale Raptors, naughty boys of Major League Rugby early doors. They got 2 red cards the first weekend, so a bit short on resources in their forwards, so they had to put their hooker at blindside flanker. This hooker found himself out on the wing, receiving the ball. He then chips it through, or grabs it through, chases the ball through, and slides over like a winger. It was an absolute wonderful moment for the old front row club. So yes, that was my moment of the weekend. Was seeing that was definitely my moment. Ashwin, apart from getting absolutely drenched at Eden Park, what was your moment of the weekend?
No, it's go sit in the south stand, mate, up the top, so you don't get drenched.
The only tears are the ones on your face.
Yeah, that's what's getting drenched. I took the jacket off my son.
You don't have an expensive south stand ticket. You can't go there.
No, not at all. I wasn't there. It wasn't me. I don't know who you're talking about. My moment of the weekend was after losing, you're starting to question your faith. Is to actually go Sunday morning back to Eden Park for coaching my son's team. So you have to go through a coach's course, and remembering why you're there and why you're doing it and what you love rugby's about. Because it was pretty stretched on the weekend. So that was pretty good. Sitting there with the other coaches and that, and looking at other reasons on why we follow rugby and are so into rugby. I'm looking for anything I can hold on to at the moment.
Yeah, I noticed that the two Blues fans got miles away from actual Super Rugby play for their moment for the weekend. Dear me. Cool. So one of the things that has happened over the last couple of weeks is the Sunwolves have come out of their tour to New Zealand with a lot of credit in the bank. Lots of people were very impressed with how they've been playing. They stood up for 60 minutes against the Crusaders. They did it again against the Canes. And Jess, you were talking earlier about the fact that people said that the winning margin was larger than it should have been.
Yeah, just because in the last 10 minutes the Hurricanes, figured it out.
And they racked up 3 tries in the last 10 minutes or so.
I felt like the Hurricanes. I don't know. I felt like they weren't taking it seriously. I think they could have done much better. They didn't look together. It was a mess to watch. They didn't look comfortable or confident at all until the last 10 minutes.
Oh, so that's just dear me. This is you think they were taking it all a little bit too easy?
Yeah, I really do. Did you?
I was going to say that actually I thought the Sunwolves were playing pretty well and holding on to the ball well.
Exactly. They didn't expect them to.
Yeah. Oh, but I put it down to Sunwolves playing well rather than the Canes being on holiday.
I think the Sunwolves played their best rugby for the competition so far against the Canes.
Unlike last season when the Sunwolves beat the Blues because they were all on holiday on the beach. But literally, they were in like Fiji like the week before. Their training was on the beach in Fiji. Like, you're playing the Jaguars in Japan. What are you doing oh, jeez, boys. You've not earned yourselves a free holiday in the Pacific Islands with your performance last season. And you didn't earn it afterwards with their performance against the Jaguars, against Sunwolves. So, okay, so where is their win going to come from? Do you think they're going to get a win this season, or are they going to be nilled? Shane, kick us off.
Ooh, dear. Well, I hope they don't get the win next round because they got us. But look, the effort is there. The structures that Jamie Joseph and Tony Brown, who are very good Kiwi coaches, are working to an extent. They played their best rugby against the Hurricanes for the season. So it's hard to say, but I think they'll give it a good go.
So where's it going to come from then? We've got the Reds at home. They've got the Stormers at home in Hong Kong, which isn't really at home.
I reckon the Brumbies are struggling. I reckon they'll give it a good shot against the Brumbies in Canberra.
Whoa, that's a big shout. Have the Sunwolves had a win in Australia yet? I don't think so.
But the closest they got was actually against the Reds 35-25 2 years ago in Brisbane. And they got to 25 all at one stage.
Okay, so you're going for an away win against the Brumbies in Canberra, Jess?
Yeah, the Brumbies or the Reds. Sorry, that'll be who they be.
I'll be honest. If they don't beat the Reds at home next weekend, and the Reds have just got the morale-boosting win over the Lions, I can't see where the next win's going to come from. Their home game against the Stormers is in Hong Kong. Away to the Rebels, sure, the Rebels are a mess, but they've shown that early doors they can play at home. Away to the Brumbies, Canberra is not a nice place to. I mean, the weather there can be absolutely horrible and can turn any game into basically being a leveler. At home to the Bulls in Singapore, so again, that's not really a home game. Away to the Waratahs and then away to the Reds. Their last home game against the Reds, and I don't think they've ever won a game away from home. So to me, I think it's either next weekend or never. Ashwin? What are the anyone?
Just in the chat room, there's Christopher Edward Bailey sort of saying that he's sort of picking the Brumbies or Stormers. He thinks he could actually win both. Really, realistically speaking, it's like from my point of view, the Sunwolves seem to be able to hold that ball, but don't seem to offer a lot on attack. So once they start coming up against these teams that are probably having similar troubles, I think they'll have a much better shot. Yeah. So, and also sort of mentioning that the humidity and heat might help them. So I'm not sure if he's talking about the humidity and heat that they might get back at home as they kick back into summer. I know towards the end of the Sunwolves season, there'll be summer in their home games.
Yeah, but next weekend is their last home game.
Oh, sorry, you said that before. Apologise.
So the weekend after that, they're in Hong Kong. So I think he's referring to that Stormers game in Hong Kong. He thinks that might be humid and hot. I'm trying to think. So that's going to be mid-May. It'll be warm. It'll be shirt sleeve weather, not jacket weather. Having lived in Hong Kong, but it's not going to be particularly humid and hot. Well, it can be actually. The Hong Kong Sevens can be an absolute scorcher.
Yeah.
Some years, other years it can be really wet. He's right. It could be a bit warm there.
Sorry, it's a shame, but Christian's also picking the opportunity against the Reds.
I think that is the one.
No, it could happen. It could easily happen. But I'm confident enough after seeing what happened against the Lions that the Reds can use this as a tool to perhaps slide into second or third place in the Australian Conference.
I've got to zoom back and think about what the where's my table? Second or third in the Australian Conference. Wow.
I think we're running third at the moment.
You're running fourth, so yeah, but getting ahead of the Brumbies is definitely on. They're only 2 points behind, but the Rebels are still 8 points ahead. So that's it's doable, but it's not. But it's a bit of a stretch, I think.
Rebels falling a bit off their horse, though, aren't they?
Mm.
They are. When you looked at their schedule, it was front loaded for them from a points point of view. But they did pick up those try bonus points then, so they went well.
And they got fun against the Crusaders this week, which we'll talk about later.
We will. I don't think so. Well, later in the week, maybe, but not later. This in the show. We're not going to. I guess we will do a quick preview, won't we? Oh, quick predictions. Gone all over the place tonight. Question 4: who's playing themselves in or out of an All Blacks jersey for June? And Jess,
this is the question that I suggested.
A, suggested, and B,
yeah,
Chiefs Mana 1. We promised we'd give him an answer on Twitter, didn't we? So, what do you like about Wazaki?
What don't I like?
What don't you like? Oh, what?
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I'm sure that was what don't I like. Well,
that's what you mean.
That's
yeah. What don't I like? When I watched him down in Dunedin this year, I was not impressed. I just think there's some upcoming wingers that are exciting. I mean, obviously he'll have a place in the squad, but
okay, comment. Well, okay. So obviously Rico Iwani's got the left wing, but Naholo's a right winger. So who's playing themselves into form on the right wing?
Ben Lam
on the left wing.
Well, no, just on a wing.
On a wing and a prayer.
Yeah, and I like George Bridge as well. I think he's doing really well. Aso, Nanai Lamape, a lot of the Hurricanes actually, I think, are playing themselves in. I saw something online that said they felt David Havili wasn't playing well. I haven't been paying that much attention to him as a player, but I don't know. What do you guys think? I guess that fullback's got a lot of people ahead of him. Ben Smith, Jordie Barrett, D-Mac at a push before David Havili's going to get a look in.
Yeah, I mean, Ian got picked. Go on, Ashwin.
He got a look in last year, didn't he?
Yeah, but only because Ben Smith got injured. No, Jordie got injured, so he got called up.
And Ben Smith was on sabbatical.
Yeah, so D-Mac was in the squad.
So, yeah, two players were out to get him in the squad last year. Shane?
I think Ben Smith, for me, would be the 15. I think it's going to be a race for the 10 that's going to be very interesting.
No, it's Bowden. I'm like Damien McKenzie's biggest fan, and even I know he will be back up 10,
McKenzie has a big game on Friday, and he's been playing pretty well in that 10 jumper.
No, it's Bowden.
It's Bowden, sorry. We love Bowden in this country. Even I would pick Bowden.
D-Mac's probably a good shot at being on the bench.
Yeah, is that 10 or 15 slot in it either, yeah.
Yeah, he covers so much. So, and I think, you know, they're even talking about, I don't know what's happened. This was about a year ago. They were talking about him brushing up on his halfback skills so at a pinch he could play halfback as well. No. Yeah. I'll just couple of things from in the chat room. Floyd and Pink agreeing with Jess on Ben Lamb putting his hand up. So, and he's definitely had a barnstorming year. Really, you could say a bit of a breakout year. He has been there last year, but it's sort of like he's really sort of put his name forward this year.
Does anyone have any opinions about David Havili? Because I'm not sure. When that person said, "Oh, he's not playing well," I was kind of taken back. I was like, "Oh, okay," because I expected to see him in the squad, but maybe not.
I'm not sure I'll make the squad, but that's because of just the amount of depth and amount of players there are.
Yeah,
I'm not sure you need him there, but
he's been okay.
He's been okay. His problem is that Richard Mo'unga has been crocked for so long.
Yeah, so they've been struggling, haven't they?
So they've been struggling. There's been no creativity in that 9-10 combination. And let's be honest, Crotty at 12, he is a very good player, but he's not a massively creative player. And then
very solid worker.
Very solid worker, Mr. Dependable, hits the right lines. He'll play off somebody, but he's not going to be the magician to create things. And then you've also had Goodhue's got injured and Bateman's been in there again. Another player not massively creative. So Havili's not had anyone to release him from 9 all the way through to 14, through to 13, and I think that's really hampered him. So
not forgetting Sonny Bill's injured as well.
Yeah,
but he doesn't play for the Crusaders.
No, but in the discussion of the All Blacks.
But no, talking purely about Havili, he's not had anyone to release him.
No,
at the start of this year, I said that I felt Sean Stevenson was going to have a shot. It's a real shame that he's been injured the whole season. I think he is back this week, but him at 15, even if he hadn't got injured, I think he could have stood a chance.
But I thought Stevenson was out for the season, actually.
No, 6 weeks.
He's back? He's back?
Yeah. Well, 6 weeks ago he had his surgery, so I assume it's sometime soon. He was playing some club rugby over the weekend.
If the chat rooms was the All Black selectors, looks like Ben Lamb would have a real strong chance to be in the slot. I don't know if the chat room gets to pick the All Blacks. But,
and you know what? Yeah. I would actually take Geordie Barrett over Ben Smith, which I think is really controversial.
Mashed potato in the old chat room. It's gone with Ben Smith on the wing with Barrett at the fullback.
No.
Well, the Highlanders just did that in the weekend, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
So, okay. Ben Smith is probably the third name that goes onto the team sheet. Okay. He used to be the first name on the team sheet 3 or 4 years ago, but now Brady Retallick is number 1, Jordan Barrett is number 2, and Ben Smith. Geordie? No, Bowden Barrett, sorry. Yeah. Dear me. Bowden Barrett, sorry. Brady Retallick, B. Barrett are 1 and 2. And Ben Smith is number 3. He has to be on the pitch, and whether he's in that 14 or 15 jersey, to me he will be in one of those two. So to me, it's actually a competition between Geordie Barrett and either between Geordie Barrett and someone like Naholo, and then Ben Smith fills in the other gap. So it's a question of do you want Naholo on the wing and Ben Smith at fullback, or do you want Ben Smith on the wing and Geordie Barrett at fullback? And to me, that's your question. It's not about Ben Smith will be playing.
I think they'll go conservative. First game of the year sort of thing. They'll put Ben Smith at the back. They'll put Naholo on the wing. I actually think Naholo's been playing well. From the games that I've seen, there's something magical about him. He just has those touches. He has touches in the games that I don't know.
He's big. He's fast. He's not that bad under the high ball.
Yeah.
He's not as dependable as a Ben Smith or a Barrett, who they've been trying to play. Not Barrett, a Dag, who they've played on the right wing recently, or even Namel the Scudder. he's not quite got their turning circle, but going forwards, he is just destructive. So I know Jess is shaking her head and going, no, it's not going to happen. That's, and then in your midfield is going to be Crotty plus somebody, and whether that's
Crotty doesn't injure himself twice in the weekend. He looked like he was out. He concerns me.
There is a good chance he'll be injured. But then again, there's a good chance that pretty much everyone will be injured apart from Lamapi and Arso. Every other midfielder.
And Ben Lamb, no one can.
But hey, speaking of midfielders, mashed potatoes throwing up a good name, Rob Thompson.
He's a bit old, isn't he?
No.
How old is Rob Thompson?
Rob Thompson's young as. He's only been 23, 24 at the most.
Sorry, I'm getting him mixed up. Yeah, sorry.
Adam Thompson?
No. The player who's been playing for the Crusaders. I've got because we've been talking about Crusaders. I was thinking of Bateman.
Tim Bateman.
Tim Bateman. Sorry. 26. Yeah, so he's not that young.
Hey, I'm 27.
Trying to keep myself out.
You've now upset Jess. She's not doing that website stuff for you for Sunday.
Jess, look, don't take this the wrong way, but your rugby career's behind you.
Yeah, in rugby years, I'm over the hill.
I'm talking in rugby years here. I mean, the guy's half my age, so calling a 26-year-old old, it's in rugby years rather than in real years. It's a bit like dog years and human years. I think it's a stretch to think he'll get picked, to be honest. I think you've got Sonny Williams, Crotty, Laumapi, Arso, Anton Leonard-Brown, Goodhue.
Oh yeah, Anton Leonard-Brown. Huh.
Should
be right up there.
All ahead of him. That's at least 6 players that are ahead of him in the centre pecking order, in my book.
And maybe some of the New Zealand derbies over the next few weeks will sort out those final positions too.
Now, we've talked a lot about the backs because the backs are nice and easy to see. What about in the forwards? Because we have a number 8. We've got a big yawning gap at number 8 with Kieran Reid out with his surgery.
What's going on there? He's not back at all?
No, he's not back until after the June tests. He might not even play any Super Rugby this year.
Yeah. We'll just before we move on to the forwards, we'll flick another name into the centres. Centres is obviously Jack Goodhue.
Yeah.
But another name that we missed. Oh, did you mention? Oh, sorry, I missed that. Sorry. Just the number 8 position. I think Akira Ioane has actually damaged his chances in the last 2 weeks in particular.
Yeah,
the Highlanders.
Discipline's a real issue.
He's getting into hot head mode again, and against the Highlanders, he started doing this, and he did this again on the weekend, is that he gets the ball and he stands there and says to the defense, come get me. And they do. And he's standing still. So it's quite easy for them to get him. So it's really sort of like, it's part of his hot head nature is like, I'm just going to bump you guys off. No, you're not, because they're just as big as you. And I think he's really damaged his chances a bit in the last couple of games. In saying that, one thing that might save him is injuries and availability.
So Luke Whitelock, maybe? At number 8?
Maybe. Yeah, I think that's your options.
Because I've seen a few people suggest that Whitelock's ahead of Akira Ioane, and I can't see it. I think.
Sorry, Paul.
So I think Akiri's improved. He doesn't fade out of games like he used to. I think he's got his work rate's much higher now, and whilst he might not have been so good with the ball over the last 2 weeks, he's been putting in the work on the tackling side of things. I think defensively he's put shifts in the last 2 weeks. So I think he's shown that his work rate's much higher, his tackling's much better, his breakdown works better. So personally, I think he's a definite to start. Someone reckons Ioane to 6, Kane at 7, and Whitelock at 8. No.
Don't go away, mashed potato. It's okay. Actually, who was 6?
Interesting.
Who was 6?
I was going to say Brad Shields, but no.
Six in South Africa.
I've gone blank. Who's the Hurricane that plays? That's been playing at the lock. Fafita.
Fafita.
He's good.
Survive Fafita, or we head down to the Hurricanes and not Dixon, the other one. Who's the captain of the Hurricanes? I've gone blank.
Well, the Highlanders.
I can picture
the Highlanders. Who's the captain of the Highlanders? Sorry, gone down to the Highlanders.
Yeah, I can picture him, and
Isn't it Ben Smith? You're going to put him?
They're co-captains. Ben Smith and I've gone absolutely blank who the number 6 is for the Highlanders. Not Dixon, but the other one.
Squire.
Oh yeah.
So it's either Squire or Fafita for me at 6.
Squire's an 8 as well, eh?
I'm quickly looking up who the Chiefs 6 is.
No, put you down as a no.
Beer. Have a Snickers.
No. There's not. No, he's not going to be playing 8. It's
Yeah, I thought the mashed potato said Squire's injured at the moment, so and I don't think he will get game time back before the French test.
You think so? How long's he out for?
Yeah, no, he re-injured. So he had the thumb injury, and they've had to re-break the thumb because it didn't set properly. If I've got it right, yeah, that's what I believe is the case.
Who's the Chiefs 6? I'm trying to find out. Trying to figure it out.
Lachlan Boshier.
Oh yeah, he's all right.
The mashed potato gave me that one.
Yeah, he's all right. He's young.
Mashed potato also raised up in. I think it's a bit early, but obviously, old Shannon Frizzell has shown some really good touches. But obviously, a couple of games into the Super Rugby season, be a bit of a left field pick. Well, not a left field pick, but a real bolter.
Joey Barrett got picked on his debut Super Rugby year.
Yeah, there's been many that have, but it's just the number of games that Shannon Frizzell's played. That's all.
Floyd in pink, that Canadian bloke, as in the guy.
Yeah, Tyler Ardron. Yeah. He's great.
Who's
he
captain?
Can't go away.
Exactly. Who's captain of the Canadian team? No, he's not allowed to. He's already captain of another international team. So I mean, we talk about raiding the islands, but come on, raiding Canada as well.
Does Canada rate as a second-tier nation, in which case they can then play for a first-tier nation?
No, they cannot. Once they capped full stop for a nation, that's it. They can't. Yeah, tiers doesn't matter anymore. Even though you might be crying tears over this one. No, how awful is that joke? That is appalling.
Bad joke.
Now, how about this then? How about we go down the Aussie route and we play 2 7s and play Sam Cane and Ardy Surveyor with Akira Iwani?
Not convinced on Ardy, eh?
No, sorry.
Not convinced on Ardy. I think he's lucky to be.
He gave away a lot of penalties in the game, if I remember correctly, and he had a hot head too, I think.
So okay, so we're not liking the 2 7s idea.
As an Aussie, I don't mind Ardy Surveyor as a 7.
Let him play.
He's a big unit that gets through a lot of work.
So Evans is also actually is another guy at number 8 who's done some but he's been in and out of games. I don't think I've seen good halves from him, but not a good full 80 minutes so far for the Hurricanes. So I don't think he's just another one there. So Floyd in pink likes my idea. I've got one fan. There you go. One cheerleader who agrees with me. Let's go for Ardy Surveyor and Sam Cane on both flanks.
Oh, sorry, I was just going in the old chat room, but I don't disagree with your 2 7s policy, but I'm just not convinced that Ardy Surveyor is consistent enough to.
Which?
Oh, look, and Matt Todd's not the type of 7 to play in a dual 7 role. So I like the 2 7 policy, but who's that second 7? I'm not sure.
Okay. I think Locks is pretty much set, and the front row, as the Crusaders guys come back into being fit, I think that's all pretty set as well. So I don't think there's much to discuss. I don't think anyone is going to be playing themselves into that. I think you've fourth choice lock is the only one as Romano's going to get himself injured. As to who that might be, I saw someone suggesting Tuipulotu, but I can't see that happening. So I'm not sure who the fourth choice lock would be, but I think the first three are pretty obvious in Whitelock, Brady Retallick, and Barrett. So,
are you sure about Brady Retallick? I'm not sure about Brady Retallick.
Can you close his screen? Shut it down.
I'm certain Brady Retallick. He's just the workhorse. He gets through so much, particularly at the maul, and through his defensive work. It's not called the engine room for no reason. The man's a star.
Oh, yeah, he's got something else he brings to it. Eh? He plays some real.
He's the Super Rugby player of the season so far for me.
Yeah, he's been great.
He's brilliant. He's just this season's just been something else.
Especially given what happened last year, you know. It's
last
really
year?
cool.
Oh, there's family stuff.
He didn't finish the year out because of personal stuff. So just to come back this year and just be as great as ever is a real testament to him, I think.
And he did take a long. He did have quite a bit of a break. He didn't go on the end of year tour.
Yeah.
And then was sort of. He came back in a little bit later into, like all the All Blacks do, into the squads for the Super Rugby. So he'd had quite a bit of break, and you'd sort of be thinking, where's his headspace going to be? But from game one, he's just been on it.
He's a very honest player. I like watching him play.
So, since we've just picked the All Black squad and ruined the whole unofficial All Blacks rugby show that we're going to be kicking off on a Wednesday by having it in this show already, let's talk about question 5. Are there too many derby games? I can't remember if it was Boyd or Cooper, but one of them suggested after the Hurricanes Chiefs game that there were too many derby games, and it actually was derbies that are causing all these injuries in the New Zealand teams. So I've got one nod, I've got one shake of the head. Jess, gone.
They had Steve Hansen at, I think it was the Hurricanes Chiefs game, and they asked him, do you care who wins? He was like, I don't care, just please stop injuring each other. I think that they're too physical, they're too full on. Like, it doesn't help our national team if we're all injured before we even get to our All Blacks games.
Shane, are you kind of saying more New Zealand derbies to wipe out more players, or do you think it's just coincidental?
No, not for wiping out any players. And by the way, we do have 6 of our own and 2 against the Sunwolves, so we're not prone from it either. But I like derby. Derby nights are good nights. Derby nights are good for the pub, particularly the food too. But there is something special about the New Zealand derbies and our derbies as well. Our derbies end up probably getting a bit too crash hot and fights in the scrums and those sorts of things. But New Zealand derbies are the pure essence of premium rugby. I love watching them. And there cannot be any doubt particularly as we've talked about All Black selections, the next few derbies are going to sort out those sort of things. This is where you have competition. And I think there's a marketplace for derbies because the fans like it, particularly the traditional ones here in Australia, the Reds and the Waratahs and the Brumbies and us and the Brumbies, and obviously the 8 derbies you have in New Zealand. So, yeah, I support derbies. They're a good thing, and there's
I like them, just not so many of them, I think is what I meant.
No, just going to jump in and summarise what's happening in the old chat room. There's a bit going on there. There's just with the derbies and that, it looks like there seems to be a bit of mixed reaction with too many derbies, and not with Andre saying too many derbies, Christian saying not enough derbies, or there aren't too many. Floyd and Pink agreeing with Shane on the fact that ditching the derbies will be bad for ratings, and it would be bad for ratings. And then Mashed Potato was disappointed we didn't talk about props for All Blacks.
Well,
just to throw that in there.
That's because I think the props are already decided. I think it's going to be the same as last year. I can't see anyone else playing their way in, to be honest. Hookers could be a bit interesting because Coles is going to be out. Riccatelli had an absolute shocker at the weekend.
He did. Almost every throw was like, no, not straight.
So you got to wonder if he's gone and done is playing himself out of a jersey at the moment. So Hooker could be interesting, but I think props is fairly straightforward. I don't know. I don't think there's too many derbies. I think home and away is good. When you had sort of home and away against some teams, but only one game against the others, and as a season ticket holder to not go to Eden Park and not see the Chiefs, for example, was disappointing. Now you can get down Hamilton to see the Chiefs, but if you can't get down to somewhere like if the Highlanders don't come up, you're not going to see the Highlanders for a year. And I think as a season ticket holder, I want to see all the 4 New Zealand teams come through and see them live. So no, I think home and away derbies is right, and I don't think they cause any more or less injuries than travelling, because I think travel is a real killer for a lot of these players. And going to South Africa, I think you'll see just as many injuries as you would in a derby game. So I don't think derbies are contributing to extra injuries, because it reduces the travel, so there's less fatigue from that point of view. Sure, there may be a bit of a higher intensity because the New Zealand sides are the best sides at the moment, but I think it's because they're playing the best sides rather than because it's a derby game.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think one of the things that Super Rugby or SANZAR is missing is the fact is that, and I know the reasons why, obviously it's the Currie Cup and the NPC in New Zealand, is the fact is that really the competition just should be starting in March and it should be finishing in October, and everybody should just play home and away, and then we'd have a proper competition that went through, and you'd have a second tier in NPC. And Paul shaking us vigorously. Oh, it won't happen because obviously with South Africa being strong with the Currie Cup, the Andre also mentioning the fact that the SA teams do end up playing like potentially 6 times each other in a season, because and I think Paul's alluded to this, Super Rugby teams actually end up being Currie Cup teams as well anyway.
Yeah, that's the problem. In New Zealand, you don't have there isn't a strong link between the provinces or the provincial teams and the Super Rugby teams, and you have teams all over the place. Whereas in South Africa, there's a very strong link between Western Province and the Stormers, between the Golden Lions, the Lions, the Blue Bulls, the Blues. And I've gone blank as who the Sharks team is. Who are the Sharks in? Oh, dear me. No. Anyway, maybe they're the Sharks as well. I think maybe the Sharks twice. But they're very strong. So teams like the Griquas and the Pumas, who are also in the Premiership of the Currie Cup, don't have Super Rugby players in them, or very few. So it's just not the same in South Africa as it is in New Zealand as to how they divide the players between at the Currie Cup level, and that's the problem. Superb. So we disagreed on that one, and that's all fine. We like to disagree occasionally. We have a bunch of other topics to talk about. We've run out of time, but I can't not talk about it. Phipps, winning the bar. Now, it was his stag do. This kind of stuff happens on your stag do.
Why does it have to happen?
Because it does.
I think that's really pathetic, to be honest, that you need, that's an excuse to urinate publicly. Really?
Don't judge us, you female.
Really?
Don't judge us.
Really?
No, okay. There's
have a stag do by all means, but that doesn't mean it was 9 p.m., which was the most shocking part to me. Maybe 2 or 3, I don't know, things are different, but 9 p.m.
Oh, I missed that one. I didn't realize it was that early. Jeez, they went hard. They went hard. They went early. No, you don't wee on a bar. Let's be honest. But there are two. I think there are 2 things here. I think it's his best man's fault rather than him not looking after him. On your stag do, you are going to be blind drunk and not know what you're doing. So someone has to look after you, especially if you're a public figure, and realize where the boundaries are. And his best man did not realize where the boundaries were. And his best man should have done 1 or 2 things. 1, look after him properly so he doesn't wee on the bar. Or 2, hire a private room where not everybody finds out.
Then everyone can pee on the bar.
Filler. It's a public figure.
The phones in the head at the door.
it's stupidity. But I mean, I blame his best man more than I blame him, because
ultimately he's responsible for his actions.
Absolutely.
I got to jump in here because Brent in the chat room's got a perler there. It was at 9 p.m.
Oh, nice. No, I just think that's like absurd, especially as a public figure.
Oh yes, as a public figure, I think it's totally absurd.
I've got to say, I think that's really disappointing, Nick Phibbs. And the Australian rugby at the moment.
Yeah, I know. I can see him getting. He's going to get probably a fine and something like three week ban from.
Was
from
he arrested, or how did it come out?
Well, he was thrown out the bar. He then apologised, and they decided not to press charges.
Oh, that was nice of them.
So, yep. Floyding Pig, he's a rugby player, not a public figure. Sorry, if you get paid that much to entertain us in public, you are a public figure.
Exactly right.
But honestly, what does that say of his character? Like, what kind of move is that? It's like kind of a power move in some ways. Like, does he think he's above being decent? I don't know. To me, it says something about his character that he thought that was appropriate. I know he was drunk, and people are silly when they're drunk, but they're still who they are.
The outcome was he showed poor behaviour regardless.
Yes, he did. But there's a number of players in your team as well that have shown poor, Jess, who have shown poor behaviour in public as well. It's
So if they're all bad, then what does that mean? Like,
no, I just say there is an element of young people will drink too much, will get silly, and will do things they regret the next day. Yes, I have not this kind of thing, but I've drunk so much that I'm throwing up in the middle of the street because I've drunk too much. Now, is that's when I was at university. You go on a pub crawl, you drink too much, and
people do silly stuff in their throat, but I feel like they're not urinating in bars. I've never seen that.
Sure. Yes, he stepped over the line in this case. I don't think it's as. I think it's quite as bad as as other people clearly do. But he clearly needs to get fined, and
he just wanted to take the heat off Fallout, didn't he? He was like, "I know, I'll throw you a bone. Take one for the team."
Cool. We've run out of time. Some things we are going to talk about next week because, actually, last thing, congratulations Fiji on winning their third stop on the trot in the sevens by winning the Singapore sevens. So they, after winning the Hong Kong sevens and one before that, whatever that was, for them. A couple of things we will talk about next week. We will talk about Chance Penny's ban and the fact that they're going to be using an exhibition game as one of those games. We'll talk about the new laws that the Western Force are going to use in World Series Rugby. And we'll also look at, if South Africa leave the Super Rugby, what structure should professional rugby or should Super Rugby post without South Africa look like? So those are three topics we'll talk about next week. So do dial in for that. But let's get on to predictions then. Chiefs versus Jaguares. Jess, your team, how are they going to cope? Jaguares just beat the Blues. Is this going to be 4 on the trot for the Jaguares?
I put by 8. I think it'll be quite close, but I think the Chiefs can do
it. Shane?
Chiefs by 10.
And Archie?
Chiefs by 10, but it'll be interesting to see what team they put out on the field because they're talking about resting some of their All Blacks.
Oh, I hope not.
Having seen what I guess then it comes down to what the weather's looking like for the weekend, because I've not checked that out yet. I've put Chiefs by 7. Again, I think there's a good chance they'll rest some players. Well, if they've got any players left to rest because of so many injuries. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Marty started and Damie was on the bench or something like that. Then Rebels versus Crusaders. Shane?
Crusaders by 20.
Jess?
Crusaders by 14.
And Oswin?
Crusaders by 20.
I'm Crusaders by 15, and Ashwin and Shane are Siamese brothers who are separated at birth.
We are like twin brothers.
Predictions so
Good
far.
to see you after this slot.
Waratahs versus Blues. Ashwin, come on. Do you have faith?
Yeah, I don't know what to say. The Blues play to the level of the team that's in front of them is the problem. Because if you took this, it was a close game between the Huggiwaris. They lost, yes, but it was a close game. Huggiwaris towelled up the Waratahs the week before that. So you would go that the Blues should win it. But as I say, the Blues play to the level of who's in front of them. I think with home ground, yeah, I'm going Waratahs by 3.
Oh, Jess?
I put Waratahs by 3 too.
Shane?
I got faith in the Blues. I think they'll win it by 5.
So, and I'm going to Blues by 3. So, the Englishman and the Australian have faith in the New Zealand team, and the 2 Kiwis don't.
You'll never hear that much. That much unity between the Australian and Englishman.
A Reds fan's never going to pick the Waratahs, though, is he?
Oh no.
I guess the other big question is: are we going to have Blues jerseys versus Blue jerseys, or will one of the teams actually wear their away jersey, please? Because, geez, come on, let's stop these shirt clashes. Hurricanes versus Lions. Shane.
Hurricanes by 20.
Jess?
Hurricanes by 11.
And Ashwin?
I was going, Hurricanes by 12. I think the Lions will be a bit hurt from last week, and so they'll probably bring it a bit more this week. And that's the reason why I think it'll be a bit closer than otherwise.
Yeah, I've gone Hurricanes by 10, and I was looking at some going, which Lions are we going to see? The Lions that lost to the Reds, or the Lions that beat the Tars comfortably? It was Tars, wasn't it, the week before, comfortably? It's like, I have no idea who's going to turn up. So I've gone Hurricanes by 10. Stormers Bulls, this is one I'm picking as being the game of the weekend. So get on Twitter, hit my poll. I've just posted it. Jess, Stormers or Bulls?
I put Stormers by 6.
Ashwin?
Oh, I was going to go Bulls by 5.
Oh, Shane?
Bulls by 3.
I've gone Stormers by 3. So 2 for and 2 against on this one. Stormers haven't lost at home yet this season. Just a little side note. And then to finish the round off, the Sharks versus the Highlanders. And do we know if the All Blacks are playing for the Highlanders in this game? Because I've heard rumours they might be rested. Deathly silence. So having put that little note of worry into my panel.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Go on then, Jess.
I put Highlanders by 4, which I think would be fair even if they rest their All Blacks.
Shane?
I think the Highlanders by 10.
Ashwin?
Yeah, Highlanders by 7.
So I've gone Highlanders by 3. Mashed potato, yes, it's in Newlands. So there we go. That's our predictions for next week. Shane, let people know where they can get hold of you and chat rugby during the week.
At Schoolermate, SCOOLM8. Come talk rugby on Twitter.
Jess?
JAM8391 on Twitter.
And Ashwin?
Under the sofa in a fetal position.
All the Twitter accounts are down below in the notes. Dearie me. Thank you everyone for joining us. It has been a blast. As always, even if I have been all over the place and a bit scatterbrained, I'll try and get it all together for Thursday for the preview show, which is when we'll be back at 8 p.m. And actually tomorrow night I will do a special Patreon show at 8 p.m. Talking about late developers. So become a Patreon if you want to watch that. Thank you, everybody. It's been a blast. Thank you so much. Bye. Look at that clapping. Oh, dear. Oh, eventually.